Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode I'm going to talk to you about the new HDR software from Macphun called Aurora HDR. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Harmony. I'm a French photographer living in the most beautiful city in the world, Paris, France. And despite what some crazy man can do, it will remain one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It is magnifique, it is incredible, and it will stand tall. And I think as artists, it is time that we put even more heart and even more love in this world. So, I make 2 tutorials per week. Click here if you want to subscribe and get the raw files for free for this episode or all the past 3 episodes, or click here if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This week, I wanted to talk to you about a new HDR software that's coming out from Macphun and Trey Ratcliff. Trey Ratcliff is an amazing man that inspired me 10 years ago to do HDR, and he now came up with his own software of HDR. And I must say, it's amazing. And I will show you why. So let's create some very nice photos now. To get the software that you need for following this tutorial, you need to go to my website, photoshers.com, click on My Gear. You go down a little bit, you will see the most powerful HDR software, Aurora HDR. You click on this, and there you will be able to purchase it from Thursday morning on. So let's get with the tutorial. Alright, so as I told you, I'm very excited because Macphun came out with a new software that they did with Trey Ratcliff. Now, if you don't know who Trey Ratcliff is, you don't live on planet Earth. He's one of the most followed photographers in the world. He inspired me a lot years ago, and I got a lot into HDR thanks to him. He has got an amazing body of work on the subject. He originally recommended to use Photomatics. This is what I've been using Photomatics for years when I do HDR. But now he teamed up with Macphun and came up with this new software called Aurora HDR, which is right here. And the way they made it is that if you don't own Lightroom, you don't own Photoshop, you can work with it, which is really cool. But I'll show you how I work with it. And because I work with it with Lightroom, but first we're going to start off without Lightroom. So I'm just going to double click on the software. Here we go. And here is 3 raw files that I shot ready to be HDR. I'm going to drag and drop them in the load HDR bracket, and here we are. So we have a few options here: alignment, ghost reduction, chromatic aberration. I'm going to click on alignment because I have a doubt whether I shot this on a tripod. I believe I did. Ghost reduction, I'm going to do something about that because there's a lot of cars going back, and chromatic aberration, why not? Create HDR. All right, so here we are. Right out of the box, it looks great. That's the result. If you click here, you can see the before and after. So already it's great. And one thing I love about Macphun is they always have this awesome preset. So this is, for example, the basic section. I'm going to show you a few. So that's realistic. That is realistic vivid, which I kind of like because that sky was crazy. I remember this guy was really crazy. You got, for example, bright. You got some details, some like crazy HDR, like this one, for example. But let's look, for example, at Trey Ratcliff preset. He's got some really cool ones. And I like the names of his presets. Some of them is crazy, like first time I did mushrooms, for example, which is kind of crazy. Angels within. I like, and this is what you have to look at. You can check out the preset and look what they do to certain parts of the photo. Like I love what that does to the sky. I don't like what it does to the rest of the building. Baby in the corner, that's directly from Dirty Dancing. I didn't know Trey Ratcliff played in Dirty Dancing. He's great. Black truffle salt. It's a really funny name. Chocolate and wine. Really cool stuff. So you can just, go through. Another one you can go is for architecture, because that's what we're talking about. So architecture bright, for example, that's pretty cool. A bit too much detail for me. Strong HDR look, totally crazy. Architecture realistic is good. But I think I'm going to go for, I like this one, what it does. I like what it does on the building, the architecture bright. I like what it does on the building, but I think it's too warm. And I like... however, I like the warm in the sky, but I don't like the warm in the rest of the photo. I like to play around with white balance. So you know what? I'm gonna reset this here, and I'm gonna do first, and I want to show you how I work, because this is how I do it with layers. So that's my original image. On my original image, I'm gonna do like basically almost like my Lightroom workflow, which is bring down some of the highlights, open up the mid-tones, open up a bit the shadows, bring down the blacks, open up the whites. That's the classic thing that I do in Lightroom. Contrast, I'm not going to touch. It's pretty heavy contrast. And the HDR look, I'm going to give it a basic HDR look. If you go on the right, it's very strong. On the left, it's very not strong, very soft. I'm going to give a bit of HDR look, a little bit of softness. And one thing, HDR detail, I'm not going to go into that now because that's too crazy for me. And HDR denoise, they have a very powerful denoise system in Macphun because I've used Noiseless, which is their plugin for noise. So I'm going to do a little bit of denoise. And image radiance, I think I'm going to give some radiance a little bit to this photo. Actually not, because it's making it too dark. So I'm kind of happy with that. I'm happy, but that's my basic correction. But you know what? I want the buildings to be warmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the temperature to the left because I don't like this too warm on the buildings. Something like this is kind of cool. Maybe add a little bit of magenta just for the buildings. Okay, now I like that for the buildings. Maybe, you know what, I'm going to add some, no. Yeah, that's just my basic correction. Then I'm going to click here for another layer that I'm going to call sky. Now I'm only going to deal with the sky. So I can go and look for some preset like, you know, Architecture Soft, or I can go back to, for example, Trey Ratcliff presets. And I think there was one I liked that it did to the sky. Baby in the corner, no. Black Treff, blah, blah, blah. Soul Asunder. No, that's a bit... Okay, Baby in the corner, I think it's pretty good. You know what? I'm going to create my own. I'm going to create my own for the sky. So for the sky, I want the sky to have some radiance. I think it's pretty cool. I like what it does. I want it to be a bit warmer. So I'm going to add some warmth for the sky. Which is here. Okay, I'm just going to add some temperature for the sky. And I want to add some glow. I always like glow in the sky. I think glow is cool. A bit of glow in the sky. Okay, but now this is affecting the whole image. But if you click here on the brush up here, okay, and you start painting, what happens is you are only going to paint, everything is going to be masked out, meaning that only where I paint, that effect is going to take place. And by default, the opacity of my brush is at 50%. I want to put it at 100. I really want this glow and colors to go in the sky. I really like that. Okay. And maybe add a little bit of brightness in the sky. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. So now I did something for the bottom. I did something for the top. And I'm going to keep on going. I think I want to do something more, you know, for the result of all that. Maybe play again. No HDR look, but I think I want to do some final corrections. Like I want to add some vibrance to all that. I think this photo will work better with a lot of vibrance. So I'm going to add a lot of vibrance to it. Maybe a little bit of saturation. Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're talking business. And voila. And I can keep on going. Like I can say, oh, I want some of the buildings to be a bit brighter. So let me go to architecture, for example, and let's go for architecture bright. I like that. I like that a lot, but I don't like it everywhere. So same thing. I got my brush. I'm just going to paint it here, paint it there, on that building, on this building. So you basically doing different tone mapping for different parts of the photo, which I really like. Like I don't like the texture that's here, the details which is here. So I could do another layer for that again. And go this time, you know, adding a lot of glow. A lot of glow. Okay, glow is not going to do it. A lot of image radiance, for example. Because I want to make this darker. I think this is too much. I don't like the green there, how it does. So I'm going to add some radiance to it. And yeah, smoothness. A lot of smoothness, maybe. And a bit of brightness. But I only want this on the green. So again, I've got my brush and I'm just brushing this on this. Okay, so you get the idea. This only affects the green. This only affects the building. This affects everything. And this only affects the sky. Okay, and voila. And so you've tone mapped every single part of the photo. I think that's pretty crazy. And so let me show you the before and after. And after I've made anything on this photo. But you know, I kind of like that. This is I like this idea of being able to tone map everything. Now I'm going to show you something. I'm going to go into Lightroom, and I'm going to take the 3 photos, and I'm going to right click. And the great thing is that when you install Aurora the first time, it asks you to install plugins. So here it says Aurora, export to Aurora HDR Pro directly from Lightroom. And this is really cool because this way, you know, you can launch this. So this is, and I think I'm just going to go to create HDR. So if you're like me using a lot of Lightroom, you can launch it from Lightroom because, you know, I don't do anything without importing first into Lightroom. So it's going to do is raw tone mapping, and we're good to go. So now let's check some of the presets. Okay. Like I like what this does, but I think it's too strong. So what you can do is you can just click here on the preset. Let me see. I'm going to reset this. I'm going to reset this, and I'm going to do some basic correction first. So I'm going to bring down the highlights, open up a bit the midtones, put in a bit the shadows, not too much, bring down my blacks. Okay, and I think I'm going to do some, yeah, that's about it. So now that's layer 1. Boom. Layer 2, I'm going to go for the architect balance look. But if you see here, there's a little slider. I can decide either applying this whole preset with its full power or go down here and lower it, you see? So you see here you have a little slider, and it just determines, let me zoom in so you see what I mean. You have a little slider there, and it determines the power of that preset. So if I like for example, if I want to use just a little bit of that preset, I can do that. And I can even add, like, okay, I'm going to add one more layer, for example, and I'm going to use something crazy like strong HDR, okay? And I like what it does on some of the bridge itself. So I can just again take my brush here and make sure opacity is 50% is cool, and I'm just going to brush in a little bit of that. Just let me make it smaller. So I really like that because it's you know, it just gives you the power to edit your photo how you really want it, and you're not doing anything which is you know, basically being global. So look at this. This only affected the bridge. I use this preset only for the bridge. And actually, most of the time, I actually use presets because presets, they're awesome, the preset that they have. And you can just look around the preset and decide how much you're going to use it. So that's another cool way. Let me show you one last example. You know, I love HDR with black and white. So this is again in Lightroom. I'm gonna export it into Aurora HDR Pro, and I'm going to make a black and white HDR with one single raw file, because you don't have to use bracketed photo. You can use this on one single raw file, which is cool, and you can do things that Lightroom cannot do, definitely not do, which is the whole HDR look, which you can do in Photomatix, but I find this is better than Photomatix because of the layers, and it's got more options, a lot more options, there's no question. So voila, I'm sorry, but this is going to be my go-to HDR software. So this is very dark, so let me do my regular, you know, I'm going to smart tone, maybe make it brighter a little bit, you know, bring down the highlights a little bit, open up the mid-tones, the shadows, not so much the shadows, a bit too crazy for me, maybe lower the smart tone. I'm going to bring my whites up, my black I'm not going to touch so much. Maybe, yeah, shadows just a little tiny bit, and I'm gonna, on this one, I'm gonna just take out the saturation as the base. So where is saturation? The saturation is here, so I'm gonna make it black and white. So that's my basic black and white. That's my basic black and white. Let me see here. Yeah, then I'm just gonna create one more layer, and I want to play around with some of the preset. Let's see what they got. Architecture balance look. So I look at the preset and what it does, and I like what it does to some of the sculpture. You know, architecture realistic. I like what it does, or architecture dramatic. I think I'm going to go for realistic. I like what it does to some of these of here. So take the brush. I'm going to bring this in just on that, and I think on my original image I'm too much HDR already. So you know what? I'm going to go to the HDR look. I'm going to lower it. I don't like the HDR look overall. I want to control it. So I'm going to go back to that layer 1. And now I'm just painting architecture realistic just on some parts of the photo, not everywhere. I like that, but not in the front. Kind of like this. Okay, now let's find something for the sky. So I'm going to create a new layer and then look something, for example, architectural soft. No, that sky is too soft. Let's see. Let's see, for example, landscape. Let's go to landscape, see what we have in landscape. soft and dreamy, landscape desaturated, landscape balance, landscape realistic. No, it's too much noise. I actually like landscape realistic, but let's see if we can add some denoise into it, like a lot of denoise. Yeah, it's still too much details. Softy and airy. Softy and airy, I like what it does. So I guess I'm going to go for that. And same thing, I'm just going to paint this in the sky. So we have a bit of a hairy sky. You know, so one preset is applied to the sky, and the other one is applied to some of the other part of the photo. Let's go one more layer. I still think that this horse is a bit too, not bright enough. So I'm going to make it much brighter with this preset. I'm going to make my brush smaller. And now I'm going to just brush that thing on this. Okay, now I'm going to desaturate something. There's some colors going on here. So I'm going to desaturate this as I do this. Oh, there's maybe some color contrast. Let me take that out. Yeah. Or yeah, something is happening here on the saturation. I'm going to desaturate the blues and this. Okay, and saturation of the highlights. Voila. Okay, I like the details that it adds. Okay, now it's a bit too much, but again, I can lower now the opacity of the layer itself. So that HDR preset, I can just apply what I need on the horse and nothing. And actually, you know, I like what it does on the upper part. I don't like there. So I can take an eraser now and erase the effect on the bottom of the statue. So only, and maybe here's too much noise here. Okay, and check it out. Now the statue is much brighter. It's the same thing using brush in Lightroom, except now we are doing this thing with, with some HDR value, some tone mapping, some HDR magic, which is really cool. So I'm going to go back to the brush, and I think I like this value a lot. I like this look. So now I'm going to bring it in some other places of the photo to, make some more parts of the photo more interesting. Here maybe, and here. And voila, and so we've got black and white HDR. I'm going to do some final retouching with the last layer. Maybe add some contrast even more. So that crazy, and add some, for example, vignetting. Do some vignetting here. Something like this. I really want to get some crazy sort of black and white thing. So that's the original photo, and that's where I am now. Sort of black and white HDR. So it's really a cool software. Check it out on my website and I hope you will enjoy it. And I hope it's gonna, it's good to take back some of your old HDR photo. That's what I'm doing right now with the software. I'm taking back some old HDR photo and processing with it. And I'm finding inspiration. I'm finding going to places which I did not expect to go. Okay, so let's do one more photo. This was taken in Big Sur this summer, a beautiful place in California. This is the underexposed, normal, and overexposed. I'm going to right click and export all three into Aurora HDR Pro. All right, I'm going to do alignment, ghost reduction, and I'm not going to do I'm going to do chromatic aberration because I think, I shot this straight into the sun. And alignment, yes, create HDR. And, this is a sunset photo. Sunset photos are great for HDR because they can make these amazing sunsets. And sometimes, when I do photography, people said, you have very saturated photos. It's true. But honestly, when you see a sunset, a real amazing planet Earth sunset, sometimes adding saturation really just brings it to what it should be. Okay, so that's out of the box what we get. This is the before and after. And this one, I think I'm going to try to use presets and presets only. So I'm going to leave the basic here. I'm going to create a new layer. And let's check out what we could do about the sky. So let's see if there's some presets that do well with the sky. I want to get sort of a fuzzy sky. Let's check this one, see how it goes. No, it's too crazy. I actually like what it does here. You know what? I'm going to this one I'm going to use for some of the colors here. So I'm going to just take my brush. It's at 50%. So I'm brushing it back a little bit of these colors here. I like what it does just for the sea here. It's kind of cool. But I want to do something else for the sky. So I brought that preset from Trey just for the bottom part of the photo. Now I'm going to click on plus, And let's see what else we could do. Let's look at somebody else's preset. Let's go for dramatic. Let's see what dramatic is going to give us. Dramatic, dramatic is going to make all the clouds really crazy. I don't want that. I want something more soft. Let's go to basic. Let's see, we have dreamy here. Let's see what dreamy is going to look like. Dreamy is not bad. It's a bit too much dreamy. Let's see what smooth is going to give me. Not bad, but a bit too much. Let me go back. Let's go to architecture. Architecture. So let's go. This one is not bad. Realistic. It's pretty good. It's really a matter of finding the right preset and then just using that preset for a part of the, softy and hairy. Yeah, I think this one I'm going to go soft and hairy. This is what I'm going to take for the top. And I'm just going to paint that in. Voila. So, and I already out of the box, I like that. So I have one basic layer, one layer where I use a preset for the bottom, one preset I use for the top. And now I'm going to do probably one more. Let me see. I'm probably going to do one more. I'm going to create one more layer, and this time I'm going to do just some final adjustment. I think I want to add a little bit of vibrance and maybe a little bit of magenta, because there was a lot of magenta. And you see when I move the magenta, I get a lot of magenta because there was truly a lot of magenta in that photo. And what else I can do? Let me see. I'm going to go, there's this option which is cool, which is top and bottom lighting. Look at this. If I move top, I can make the top a bit darker, and then bottom, I can make it brighter. So I can do that. That's kind of cool. So I made the top darker and the bottom brighter. And so you can really use this, without using Lightroom, which is really cool. And let's see what a vignette effect would do on this photo, if it's doing any good or not. It's actually not bad, a little vignette effect. But then, you know what? Let's do some smart tone. Let's make it a bit brighter. Just a tiny bit, maybe. Just boost the whites a little bit. Just a little tiny bit, not the whites. Okay, let's boost the midtones, maybe just a little bit. Okay, I like that. So 3 preset before and after. Got some nice HDR, and the sky was crazy like that on this photo. That's why I also choose this one. So I'm going to apply this. And when you apply this and when you launched it from Lightroom like I did, it's really going to basically re-import it into Lightroom. So it's going to take, it has to process it. I'm going to put this on pause. Okay, so I'm back in Lightroom, and that's the photo how it looks. I'm just going to crop it a little bit. I'm going to use the angle, to make sure my horizon is straight. And then I'm going to, I don't want this, I'm going to crop just a little bit of that. Something like that, or maybe not even, just maybe make it a bit more panoramic. Something like this. And you can always continue, like I want to darken this part, just a little part. I can always use a little gradient here. Just add a little gradient and just make this a bit darker. Just really the bottom part of the photo a little bit. I don't know. I just want that. And voila. And let me show it to you in full screen, black. And done with 3 preset. 1 preset for the bottom, 1 preset for the top. And it's a really cool software. I'm very happy with what Macphun and Trey Ratcliff did. Very well done, mesdames et messieurs, and I will be using your software from now on. Make sure you check out the link for buying the software. You go to my website, you just click on my gear, and there you have the link. The most powerful HDR software, Aurora HDR. Please use this link. It helps finance all the free stuff that I do for you guys, and you will get the best price by clicking here. So just click on the link on the video or go to photosurge.com, my gear, and click here on Aurora HDR. Thank you so much. I hope you're going to enjoy it. And I'm going to give you this raw files from the big source. So you can play around with it because they're very, very nice raw file taken with Sony A7R. And you can do some really nice HDR work with it. Hope you enjoy this. I'm giving you this for free so you can try on with the software. Voilà, mesdames et messieurs. See you in another episode.